Hey guys, welcome back to bizzy.tv. My name is Mike, and we're kind of shifting gears today because we finished writing the code yesterday, at least for the initial version that we're going to deploy. And it is time to get this thing deployed and get people using it. So let's get started with that. Now, there's a lot of different options that we have when you deploy a project like this. The old-fashioned solution, I think, was to sign up with a hosting company and use, they might be running Linux on their side, but they had the ability to host ASP.NET websites. And that's, to be honest, probably the most affordable solution even today. I mean, you can get hosting packages, $5 a month, something like that. Another step up from that would be to purchase a virtual machine somewhere from a company that's not Amazon or Azure, but some third-party company, and once you have a virtual machine, you would remote desktop to it and set up everything from scratch. Internet Information Services, Windows Server, set up all the accounts, and you'd be managing the entire stack top to bottom. But one thing I've learned in business is that the customer doesn't really care what your infrastructure looks like on the back end. You could have the world's greatest, most amazing infrastructure, and really all they care about is, can I use your app to do what I need your app to do? And so where I've kind of landed lately is if you can get someone else to do all the work for you and just you focus on where you add value, that seems to be the best solution, because time is very precious, so you don't want to waste time on infrastructure. So where I'm going to land is using Microsoft Azure, which is a bit more expensive, but one of the things that you get from using Visual Studio is you can use, I think, 12 months of Azure credits free. So we're going to use 12 months of Azure credits to set up a website, to set up DocumentDB, and get everything configured and to a point that you guys can start using the system and other people can start using it too. So we'll get started on that today and see how far we can get. It's probably going to take a few days to get through the whole thing. So first of all, I want to remember where I found, there's a Visual Studio page, I think it's here, that talks about how to get your free Azure credits. Is it Team Services where I saw that? Maybe it was here on Dev Essentials. Let's take a look at that. Yeah, here's the Azure credit. There we go. Okay, so let's join that. Track down my passwords. Okay. Azure, $300 credit for 1 year. Let's activate that. Just the same as my login. Oh, identification by phone. I don't have a good one to put here. All right, we're freezing the video, guys. I'll be right back. Got the code, or almost got the code. And now I bet they're going to ask me for credit card information in case I go over. Yep. All right. Hang on. I have to go run and grab a credit card. I'll be right back. Now you see my level of preparation for this stream, and that is 0. So I'm typing in my credit card. All right. Credit card is in. Identity is verified. And we are completing the sign up. There's another program called Microsoft. What's the name of that these days? Microsoft BizSpark. And once we get a few users using the product, we'll apply for this BizSpark promotion. And they give you lots more Azure credits. And they also give you a lot of free software. So you get the full version of Visual Studio and lots of other stuff. In fact, you get access to pretty much every application that Microsoft makes. Yeah, you can use $150 of Azure credits per month. So with this quick and easy sign up that we just did, we get $300 for the year. With BizSpark, you get $150 a month, which lets you do much more. So we'll apply for BizSpark, but I know from past experience that you have to have a bit more established product before they'll approve you for the BizSpark program. Okay, so let's log into our Azure subscription. So if you haven't seen it before, this is the Azure dashboard. It's kind of like Windows itself in that you can have all your resources showing on the screen at the same time. So what we'll do here is, let's start with DocumentDB. We'll go to DocumentDB and then we're going to create a new DocumentDB resource. And we'll call this Platinum Hydra. Don't tell me that's taken. Oh, lowercase. Okay. Platinum Hydra documents.azure.com. We're going to use DocumentDB. We only have one subscription. We're going to use a new resource group called Platinum Hydra, and we do not want this in Australia. Eastern US, and we'll go ahead and pin that to the dashboard so it's easy to get to, and we'll create that. Now somewhere along the way here, I'm going to have to blank the screen again to get the credentials for this so we can talk to it. It's working on it. While that's doing that, we might as well set up our app service. So we'll go over here to App Services. And this is what's going to give us a place to deploy our website. So we're going to say Add. And we're just going to add a web app. And create. And we're going to name this web app Platinum Hydra. Same subscription. Now we're going to use the existing resource group that we set before. And we might come back and turn on application insights later, but we don't need that right now. We're going to pin that as well and create that. And so we're deploying our web app. That should be done pretty quick. And I think these are the only two resources we really need. Later we do need to deploy our background service that sends the reminders, which we wrote as a separate project. But I think that can actually deploy as something called a web job that runs inside of this web app here. So I'm pretty sure these are the only two resources we need at the moment. So what this is doing behind the scenes for the web app is basically a web app. Well, the resource group that we selected, well, that's not even true either. Some of the terminology in Azure is confusing to me. Let me see if I can point to it better. So the resource group here basically represents a virtual machine. Actually, I think it's the app service plan represents a virtual machine behind the scenes. And you get 10 gigabytes of storage, and then you get varying amounts of CPU and RAM based on the plan that you select. So where can we view the different plans? Let's see. In fact, we want to do that because we want to make sure we're not paying too much. So here's the app service plan. So let's take a look at that. So currently our pricing tier is the standard tier with one small CPU. So that means that our web application is going to run with those parameters. And let's see if we can see what those parameters are. Should be app service plan. They've changed this a little bit since I looked at it. Okay, so here are the pricing tiers. So currently we're on standard 1 small, which I believe is this S1 standard, probably why it's selected in blue. And that is going to cost us $74.40 per month. So that's going to chew up our $150 of credits in about 2 months if we stay with this plan. That gets us 1 core and 1.75 gigs of RAM, 50 gigs of storage. We can use custom domains or encryption. We can use up to 10 instances of this S1. So we could have 10 cores and 10 times 1.75 running on 10 different virtual machines. We get daily backups. We get 5 slots of staging, which is kind of an advanced topic, but it means that you can upload your application into one of 5 slots, and then Azure will let you switch between which of those 5 slots is currently active. This helps a lot when you're deploying new versions, so that you can upload the new version of your app without affecting what's live currently on your server. You can upload the new version, and then you just flip a switch to go from the version you're currently running to the new version, and Azure just kind of switches over instantly to your new version. So it makes upgrades a lot more seamless. And then we also have Traffic Manager, which allows us to route traffic to different instances based on where the client is located geographically. It also allows for load balancing and things like that. But here in the beginning of our project, this is a lot of overkill for what we need. So we're going to look for a lower level plan that's cheaper. And I might even jump down here to the free. Yeah, we're going to jump down to free because we don't need custom domains right now. We're just going to use the domain that they give us. We don't need that much memory. We don't need that much core and all that storage. None of this stuff is what we need. So we're going to drop down to the free tier. And eventually we might go to shared, because then we can use a custom domain for our product. That'd be like www.platinumhydra.com or whatever we decide our product is going to be named. But for now, free is going to be just fine. So we'll go to that. And so backing up, once you've selected the app service plan that you want to run on, you can actually run as many app services on that service plan as you want. They just kind of share the core and they share the RAM that you're allocated. So we're going to start with just one, but theoretically we could have multiple different websites running all on that one app service plan, which is currently free. So you start to see why Azure is really a flexible platform in this way, because you can run 50 different web applications for $0 a month as long as you're willing to accept these limitations. But if one of those web applications becomes popular, which I hope ours does, then at some point you're going to have to scale up to a higher plan and start paying more per month. And then you can select, how much do you really need of the services that are offered. And you can see that it starts to get quite expensive. If you have 4 cores and 7 gigs of RAM, you're looking at paying $900 a month. So then you really start thinking, well, maybe at that point, Azure is not the best solution for me. Maybe, going with some sort of dedicated server through some other company is probably a better choice than paying, $10,000 plus a year for your server. And if you went to another company that had dedicated servers and you told them that you had a budget of $10,000 plus to spend, you're going to get a server with a lot more capability than this. It's going to have like 100 gigs of RAM and 32 cores and stuff like that. So you kind of have to keep, I think Azure is good for quickly ramping up a new product, but if your product becomes successful and you want to take it to the next level, Azure may not be your best solution. unless you're making tons and tons of money, I guess, and $10,000 a year doesn't really bother you. So anyways, okay, we've selected down to the free tier, so we're going to stay with that. And we're going to go to, then we need to deploy. Well, actually, we should be able to access this right now. We're just going to get a placeholder page. So let's get our, we're still in the service plan, so let's jump back to our web app. And dashboard or overview should give us our URL. So here's our URL that's been allocated for us. So we'll just copy this to the clipboard. And we should be able to access this. Okay, so here's our website running a placeholder. So the next step is to deploy our code to this website. We don't want to use this placeholder, obviously. So now we launch Visual Studio and we go to release mode and let's compile. Okay, so compilation was good. Now here's where things may have changed a bit, so I'm going to have to figure this out as we go along. We're going to right click on the web project and we're going to say deploy, or publish rather. And we're going to deploy to a Microsoft Azure App Service. Okay, so now we select our subscription and it doesn't know it because we need to re-enter our credentials. So we're going to do that. And I should probably turn on multi-factor authentication on this account. Oh, I guess I did. Okay. Let me get that. Now let's see if we have our subscription. So there's our subscription we set up. Select our resource group, which is Platinum Hydra, and here's our web app. And then here are, if you had the, if you used the app service plan that had multiple deployment slots, then they would show up under here. So you could deploy to a slot that was not currently active. But since we're on that free service plan, we don't get any deployment slots, so we're just going to deploy straight to the website and say OK. And I guess we don't really have any other oh wait, I guess we do have some options. So we're going to publish via web deploy. That's the server that it's set up. That's the site name, username. These are all, let's validate that. Settings, we're going to deploy release version with .NET 4.6.1. And we don't have a database. This is for SQL databases, which we're not using, so we don't need that. And that's it. Let's just publish. Now remember, this is not going to work out of the box because we have those secrets that we need to configure. So, and we also need to send an email. I don't know how we're going to do that yet. Is it done or is it still doing it? Still doing it. Now we got a couple of errors here. No executable found matching command.net bundle and no bower.json present. I'm not sure that this really affects us because we're not bundling anything. And we're not using Bower. So let's see if it deployed anyway. I'm sure this is going to throw an error. All right, so they've changed this. I need to see the actual error, but it's currently hiding it from me. Let's go back to this. So let's see if it has a log that shows us what error occurred. Application event logs. That doesn't really help me much. We can try failed request tracing, but that hasn't really helped me much in the past, but we'll try it anyway. All right, let's reload. All right, so okay, so here's a failed request. Let's see if this gives us any information. Holy moly. This is XML, so is there anything in here that helps us? I feel like I'm reading the matrix. Here's and it says an error occurred while starting the application, and that's all it says. All right, so let's do this. I think you can actually debug remotely. That's a new feature of Azure. So we'll connect the debugger And we'll try to debug remotely and see where it bombs out. So let's see here. Start debugging remotely. How do we do that? Cloud Explorer. And we need to look at the actual cloud, not local. Okay, here's the document DB, and then here's the website. And if we right click attach debugger, the 32-bit version of the Visual Studio Remote Debugger cannot be used to debug 64-bit processes. Why is it trying to use the 32-bit version? See if the streaming logs give us any information. All right, did that show up in the log? No. No, it's still loading. Oh, there's something. Oh, no new trace in the past 1 minute. I don't know why this is taking so long to launch. Okay. No logs. Attach debugger. We're going to search this error and see if we can find a solution for it. All right. this is not really what I wanted. Attach debugger, all right. That's pretty much what I did. Let's see here. If I go to properties, debug, is there something I can change here? And what if I change the profile? Well, I think what I'd like to do, I'm running out of time on this stream anyways, rather than have you guys watch me flail around, one thing I've been wanting to do for a few days is upgrade to the latest Visual Studio that just came out. This one is still Visual Studio 2015, I believe, and they just came out with Visual Studio 2017. So I'm going to upgrade this to the latest Visual Studio to make sure that we're level with any Azure tools that they have in that version. That may solve the problem right there. If it doesn't, then we'll look at trying some other things. Might also need to look at the compiler config. No, not that one. This project file, I believe. There might be a setting in here to control how many bits are used when it runs. I don't see that though, but that might be something else to try. So, but at a minimum, I'm gonna upgrade Visual Studio and see if that makes any difference. So I'll play around with that tonight because I don't think you guys want to watch me installing Visual Studio. I'll get that installed, and on our next stream, we'll try to pick up from where we left off and try to figure out why that web app's not running. We need to see more detailed diagnostics. Just saying that an error occurred doesn't give me much to go on, so we need to figure out how to get more detailed error information. So we'll call it. We'll stop there for today. Thanks, guys, for hanging out with me. Thanks, Ashley, for helping out as well. And we'll be back tomorrow at the about 2 o'clock here on YouTube. See you then. Thanks. Bye.